All right, Sam Turner now planning to enter the portal per reports.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. The wide receiver room making another change, or having undergone another change. Sam Turner, according to reports, On3 was the first to break it as far as I could tell. They report that Sam Turner is planning to enter the portal when it opens on Friday. He joins fellow receivers Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, and Horatio Fields. All reports indicate that they plan to all enter the portal when it opens on Friday. A room that could have hypothetically been a strength. It was hypothetically a strength going into last season. We all know how last season went. Sam Turner, though, a little bit different. I mean, you talk about Cam and Malcolm and even Perry and Horatio. There were levels of production, differing levels of production, and differing types of circumstances. Sam Turner represented upside. We were all impressed by the reports that we heard from Sam Turner going through the offseason, saying, hey, he might crack the two deep and maybe even kind of get into that rotation. That didn't end up happening. Sam Turner played in 3 games last year. He played in Ball State. He was on the road at Arkansas, and then he played in the game against Kentucky. Played 27 total snaps on offense, according to Pro Football Focus. So I like Sam Turner's tape coming out of high school. I thought it was a huge deal when he flipped from Georgia Tech to Auburn. But I think there is going to be a lot of Sam Turners in the portal. I think there will be a lot of guys that had good high school tape that are young, that don't have a ton of experience, but do represent upside, playing in just a handful of games, or maybe were buried at their previous school. Guys like that enter the portal all the time. I mean, that's the bulk of the players in the portal. I like Sam Turner. I think Sam Turner makes sense for somebody to pick up in a college offense. But I will say this. I heard early on in this offseason evaluation process from the Golesh staff, when they were doing one-on-ones and watching tape on these players, Sam Turner was one of the names I heard early on to enter the portal. Say, hey, keep an eye on him. Like the scheme thing, right? The scheme stuff that we talked about with Horatio and Perry, that was kind of brought up with Sam Turner too, to the point, and that didn't make a ton of sense to me, because I do think Sam is faster than those guys. I definitely think he moves better than Perry, maybe not Horatio. But once again, like with everything we heard from his first off season at Auburn, represented a lot of good things. So I pushed back on that a little bit. And then I didn't hear anything else about it. In fact, we haven't really heard a lot of things from last year's freshman class. We have late, right? Like with Deuce and with Donovan Starr. Like there's been more and more guys, but that's all been recent, which tells me this staff is putting an emphasis on last year's freshman class, which makes sense. I mean, you haven't heard a bunch about, Blake Woodby, Eric Winters, New Boy Fagans, Elijah Melendez, Bryce Diaz, Jared Smith, Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford, Darian Smith, Cale Ellis, Ryan G, Bryce Cain, Omar Mabson. Those are the guys from last year's class as freshmen. It does seem that this staff has made that class a priority to say, like, hey, you're kind of the core, and some of you guys will play in 2026 and be a core part of that. And then some of you guys will definitely be a core in 2027. That's just kind of reading the tea leaves, reading in between the lines, and kind of speculating that it does seem like that's been a little bit of a priority. And so as we've seen that go on, I said, okay, well, maybe Sam Turner will stick around. But as reports happened earlier today, sounds like he is intending to enter the portal when it opens on Friday. which is interesting. So now when you look at, as we have this conversation, I'm recording this a little after 2:00 on New Year's Eve, Auburn scholarship receivers now. Well, we'll jump into that and what kind of impact that could be in just a moment. Right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel's making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. So before tip-off, head over to the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during the NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's the NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. It's the only place that I buy tickets. And I love the Game Time app because you can see the view from your seat before buying. Also, they have zone deals. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats and saves you even more time. And look, you can even see college football tickets starting as low as $25. I think there's somebody tweeted out that you could get the get-in price for some of these college football playoff games is like $45. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. And again, that is LOCKEDONCollege for your promo code for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day throughout 2025. What an outstanding year it has been. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And going into 2026, would love to have you guys be part of the Everydayer Club. Thank you for making Locked On Auburn your first listen of the day. If you haven't already, go check out the Everydayer Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed. So those ads you just heard me read, you won't hear them if you're tuning in on audio. If you join the Everydayer Club, and also you get an invite to a members-only Discord, which we've got a few members in there that have been active. They're tagging me. I get the notification. I go in and answer their question. So if you want that, head over and join the Everydayer Club. The link to that is if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the show description down below. And if you're tuning in on audio, it'll be in the show description there as well. So as we have this conversation following the news that Sam Turner intends to enter the portal when it opens on Friday, at this moment in time, which this could change, Eric Singleton, Bryce Cain, Duke, and Eric Smith are your scholarship returners. And then they just signed Deshawn Spencer, Brian Williams Jr., and Brady Marquise to be a part of the 2026 class. Those guys will be freshmen. And I think of those guys, like I'm okay if Deshawn Spencer has a role early on. We'll see how Brian Williams adapts as well as Brady Marquise. But if I had to pick one of those guys to make an impact year one, it would be Deshawn Spencer. But clearly this is going to be a position group that Golesh is going to have to revamp. He has to. You just need bodies. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. That will be, I think, a position that'll be a little bit easier to bring guys in. I don't know if you need that elite guy in this offense. I think we've seen, even when he did this at Tennessee, he was able to get production with role players. So I do wonder how much of it, like from a salary cap standpoint, I wonder how much of that is going to be devoted to specific wide receivers. Like I think you need one and maybe even two. But with some of the reports that are coming out of like what Cam Coleman wanted, like I'm not entirely convinced that makes sense as far as on field. If you want to say that it makes sense off the field as far as impact and maybe getting other guys to stay, I won't push back on that at all. But from a portal standpoint, actually fascinated to see which kind of guys they go get. How much of it are guys that played for him at USF, and how much of it are other guys that they go out and get in the portal, and what type of receivers are they? Super interested to see what that looks like. So as far as an impact goes, Eric Singleton, I think from a retention standpoint, is important. It sounds like they've made him a priority, including certain NIL deals that would tie him to a national brand. If that comes to fruition, I assume that would be announced. It would be a pretty cool thing. But over the last few days, I've heard different things about Singleton. I hope they're wrong. The sourcing seems fairly solid, but I want Eric Singleton on this Auburn roster. I want a lot of these guys to be on the. I want all of the current guys to be on Auburn's roster. I mean, we'll see what comes back, and some of the guys enter the portal. I want them. I wanted Sam Turner on Auburn's roster in 2026, but it makes sense, and I think you can replace guys like that. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like moving forward. So as far as like the impact of Sam Turner, I don't think there's a ton there, but does it make some of the guys that you have on the roster a little bit more important? Maybe. I mean, Eric Singleton has always been important. We heard early on that this staff likes Bryce Cain, which is great. Good for Bryce Cain. And then, Duke Smith, a guy that we thought could possibly get some playing time last year. That clearly wasn't the plan for him and his development, which is fine. And of course, his brother Eric, we'll see what those guys look like moving forward. But I think they're going to get a handful of upperclassmen, and we don't see a ton of these guys that are currently on the roster, but could be wrong. I could be wrong. We'll see. Does it also play into like the type of tight end you get? Do you get a more of a receiver tight end? Would you have done that anyway? Probably, but we're speculating. For sure. So just wanted to hop on real quick to put up another show today about Sam Turner. Saw that news. I'm like, yeah, I think that's newsworthy and show worthy. So wanted to do that. Once again, I think Sam Turner, everything I heard about him, true professional, really good kid. I think wherever Sam Turner goes, they're getting a guy that has a ton of upside. So best of luck to Sam Turner wherever he goes. Please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Helps the show out a ton. And once again, check out, if you're willing, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked on Auburn ad free, plus membership only Discord access and more. Head to the link in the description down below. We'll see you next time. We'll see you next year, I guess, unless craziness breaks tonight, which it totally could. But yeah, we'll see y'all in 2026, most likely. This has been Locked on Auburn.